Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we will start Islamic practices. We have done about this necessary things about in faith and what we should believe in and how we should believe that things, the 7 things which are in Iman Mufassal. Now we will start Islamic practices, the things we should do, the things which are necessary to do after having belief on that 7 things, right?
Yeah.
So the question number 1 is, what do we mean by the Islamic practices? We should know what is meant by Islamic practices. What are the things most important, most necessary to do after having faith in that previous 7 things, seven beliefs? So the first of the 5 basic elements of Islam is Iman. We have done with that Iman when we were having explanation about Iman Mufassal and the 7 things in this, and we have done a lot with this. Now it has been discussed under the heading Islamic beliefs in section 1. You know that the remaining 4, Salat, alms, fasting in the holy month of Ramadan, and Hajj, pilgrimage to Kaaba, are regarded as Islamic practices or holy acts. Now we will discuss in the second section with these things. First of all, with Salat. So we should know that what Islamic practice are these 5 things. Iman, we have done a lot with that. Then after that, Salat, alms, fasting in the month of Ramadan, and Hajj, pilgrimage to Kaaba. Understand now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will discuss about the prayer in today's class. What is Salat? Which is normally called in English as prayer. Salat is a particular way of worshipping Allah and offering devotions to Him, which Allah and His Prophet, peace be upon him, have taught us. Understand? This is the definition of Salat, which is done by Muslims. It is a particular way of worshipping Allah, which is taught by Allah and His Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Understand?
Yeah.
Okay, now the question. These questions are very important questions, especially for the Muslims, so that their Salat could be correct, could be the type of Salat which is good in Islam. Understand? What are the prerequisites of Salat? There are 7. Are you listening me?
Yeah.
There are 7 prerequisites of Salat. These are the necessary conditions of Salat and therefore obligatory duties. 7 things a Muslim must do before starting his Salat, his prayer, that particular way of worshipping Allah. We should do these 7 things before starting that Salat. Understand? What are the 7 prerequisites of Salat? What are those we should do before starting a Salat? Number 1, the body being clean. Our body should be clean. Number 2, the clothes being clean. Our clothes should also be clean. Understand?
Yeah.
The place should be clean. Number 4, the satar. The writer has defined the satar and explained it, that parts of the body ordained to be covered, being covered. means this. We should do satar. To do satar means we should cover the parts of body which are ordained or ordered to be covered in salah. Understand?
yeah,
Explanation will come in its place. Number 5, it being a permissible time of salah. If you are starting prayer for Asr, the time should be for Asr. If you are starting Maghrib, the time should be for Maghrib. Understand?
yeah,
Number 6, the face being turned towards Qibla. Your face should be towards Qibla, Holy Kaaba. You should face the Holy Kaaba before starting Salah. And number 7, there being intention to pray. You should intend to start the particular prayer. If you are starting Asr, you should intend to start Asr Salah, Asr prayer. If you are starting 4 rakats, you should intend to start 4. It means you should have intended to start a particular salat with its particular rakats. Understand?
yeah,
Okay, now again, there are 7 prerequisites of salat. You should do 7 things before starting a salat. Important question, important topic. Because if we miss any one of these things, our prayer will not be permissible, will not be good. Understand?
yeah,
Okay, these are the body being clean. Your body should be clean. Number 1. Number 2, your clothes should be clean. Number 3, your place, the place you are on which you are offering your prayer, it should be clean. Number 4, the satar, your parts or the body parts which are ordered to be covered should be covered. Number 5, time for particular salat should be permissible. Number 6, the face should be towards Qibla, the Holy Kaaba. And number 7, you should intend to start the particular prayer. Right? 7 things, and these are very important things. Okay, now the first prerequisite was the thing you should do before starting salat was the body should be clean. Now you're starting the explanation about that thing, that point, the point number 1 in prerequisites of salat. Its explanation starts here. The first prerequisite of salat, it is that your body should be clean. How should it be clean? Question: what do we mean by the body being clean? You can say this question as, what do we mean by the body being clean for prayer, for salat? The answer: the body being clean means that the body should be completely free from uncleanliness, which is known as najasa in Arabic. Understand?
yeah,
How many kinds of, now we should understand how many kinds of uncleanliness or how many kind of najasa are there. So next question is, how many kinds of uncleanliness are there? Uncleanliness are of 2 kinds, visible and invisible. Number 1, visible is known as haqiqiyah in Arabic, and invisible is known as hukmiyah in Arabic. You can learn these 2 types of uncleanliness as visible and invisible, right? Okay, are you listening me?
yeah,
What is
yeah,
visible? What is visible uncleanliness? Which is najasat haqiqiyah. Visible uncleanliness is one that can be verified by the senses, such as urine, excrement, blood, and wine. Okay. So the visible uncleanliness is one that can be verified by the senses. Our sense can also verify this is not a good thing. This is an uncleanliness, and that some of the example of visible uncleanliness are described here, such as urine, excrement, blood, and wine. These four things are what our sense can define them, can describe them, that these are not good things. These are not a type of cleanliness and uncleanliness. Next question is, what is invisible uncleanliness? Najasat hukmiya. The invisible uncleanliness is one that is so decreed by Allah, although not perceived by the senses, as the state of being without ablution or once being in need of bath commanded by Allah. Again, what is invisible uncleanliness? The writer described is that invisible uncleanliness is one that is so decreed by Allah, described by Allah, explained by Allah, although not perceived by the senses. Sense can't describe them as uncleanliness. Example, as a Muslim is in a state of being without ablution, without wudu, without wuzu, and once being in need of bath, in need of ghusl commanded by Allah. So these two types of uncleanliness are invisible. Sense can't describe that this is a type of uncleanliness. Understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so conclusion is that uncleanliness which we should clean before starting the salah, starting namaz, are of two types, visible and invisible. Visible uncleanliness is that which is described by the senses, and for these types such as urine, excrement, blood, and wine. And invisible uncleanliness is that which is described by Allah Almighty and His Prophet, peace be upon him, although senses can't describe them as an uncleanliness. And this is the example of this uncleanliness is being without ablution or being without bath commanded by Allah. Understand?
Yeah.
Next question, of which uncleanliness must the body of a Muslim be free before he can offer salah? Now the answer is one must be free of either type of uncleanliness if one is to offer salah. It means you should clean yourself with najasat haqiqiyya also and najasat hukmiyya also, visible and invisible both, and you should clean yourself from these both type of uncleanliness before starting your salah. Understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Invisible uncleanliness can't be described, can't be discovered by senses, so it need more explanation. So the writer writes the next question, what types of invisible uncleanliness are there? Answer is, it is of two types. Now invisible uncleanliness has also two types. Understand? Before it was uncleanliness was of two types, visible and invisible, and now invisible is also of two types, hadse asghar and hadse akbar. You can say them minor uncleanliness and major uncleanliness. Understand?
Yeah.
So the conclusion now is that uncleanliness is of two types, visible and invisible. Visible uncleanliness is described by senses, so need no more explanation. And invisible uncleanliness is not discovered by senses, so it needs more explanation. And it is of two types: minor uncleanliness and major uncleanliness. Understand?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the way to secure cleanness from the minor invisible uncleanness? Now, if you are having minor invisible uncleanness, how you should clean yourself from that type of uncleanness? Answer is ablution cleanses the body from the minor invisible uncleanness. If you are having najasat hukmiya, which is minor invisible uncleanness, you need to do ablution. You need to do wudu. Understand?
Yeah.
Is it enough for today? Or we should
Um.
start ablution also?
I don't know.
You have to revise it. I will ask inshallah in the next class. You can decide yourself, because this is an important topic, Haris.
Yeah.
If you think that this is enough for today, we can stop it here. And if you want more, learn to understand, we can start ablution right now.
You can decide.
It means decision is also in my hands, huh?
Yeah.
I will ask all these things. Understand?
Okay.
7 prerequisites, types of uncleanliness, and the types of visible and invisible uncleanliness also in the next class, right?
Okay.
You will be prepared for it?
I guess.
Okay, ablution. In Arabic, it is called wudu. What is ablution? Answer: we perform ablution to secure cleanness from the minor invisible uncleanness. Well, we have learned about ablution in previous classes also, but that was not enough. Now, the writer describes that which type of uncleanliness is cleansed by ablution, right? If a person is having a need of bath, obligatory bath, and he just do wudu, ablution, this will be not enough for him. Understand? So he should know, Muslim should know that ablution can cleanse yourself just from the minor invisible uncleanness. Understand? That is known as najasat hukmiya, right?
Yes.
So the answer is we perform ablution to secure cleanness from the minor invisible uncleanness. For ablution before salah, we take clean water in a clean vessel and wash our hands over to wrist joints. Rinse the mouth 3 times. Brush our teeth with miswak or finger. Pass water into each nostril 3 times and cleanse the nose. We then wash the face 3 times, then the hands right up to the elbows. Perform the mash. Wipe the head. The masa. Masa is wipe the head, the ears and the neck in that order. And finally, we wash our feet, including the ankles. The writer says that a detailed description of ablution has already been made in book 1. Okay. So the need in this class is to know that which type of uncleanliness is cleansed by ablution. So the major thing is that we should that minor and the way is written also in a brief manner that first you will have water in clean vessel, then you will wash your hands till wrist joints. Number 3, rinse the mouth 3 times, brush your teeth with finger or miswak. Then number 4, pass water into each nostril 3 times and cleanse the nose. Number 5, wash the face 3 times. Number 6, then the hands right up to the elbows. Then number 7, you will do masa, which is to wipe the head, the ears and the neck in the same order. And then number 8, the last one, finally you will wash your feet including ankles. And we have done a detailed description in book 1, right? You must know this way these you do ablution. Understand?
Yes.
Now the question is, are all these acts commanded in ablution? Okay, answer is some of these acts are commanded in ablution, without which ablution is not complete. You should know that some things in every command, in every doing, in everything, some things are commanded and obligatory, which are called fard. Without fard, or its plural faraiz, which are commanded and obligatory. If you left any of that first, that faraiz, your the doing will not be completed. It means in ablution, if you left any of your fard, which will be described inshallah right now, then your ablution will not be completed. So these are called fard, commanded. Some other acts are masnoon, not commanded by Allah, but the Prophet precepts, i.e. the acts practiced by the Prophet, peace be upon him. So we will discuss right now about that thing which is first in ablution. Ablution is technically complete but defective without having performed one or all of them. Still other acts there are called mustahabbat. We will discuss about faraiz, masnoon and mustahabbat, which are described right now from writer, commanded, non-commanded and desirable in their place inshallah. Next question is, how many commanded functions are there in ablution? Now, important thing that we should know what are commanded things in ablution, without which ablution will not be completed. There are 4 obligatories, 4 obligations in wudu. Number 1, washing the face over from one's hair tips on the forehead down to the chin, and from one ear to another. Do you understand this point?
Yes.
You should wash your face from your hair tips to the on the forehead down to the chin, and from one ear to the next another ear. This part should be washed in ablution. If you miss any of part from this particular place, this particular your ablution will not be completed. Number 2, washing the 2 hands and wrists, including the elbows. Your hands should be washed till your elbows. Number 3, performing the massa. You should wipe with wet hands to the extent of 1/4 of your head. This is obligatory. To have massa, to wipe the whole head, is masnoon. It's not obligatory, but it is masnoon. You should do that. But if you miss 1/4 of your head, wiping it, then your ablution will not be complete. Understand? And number 4,
Yes.
washing one's feet over including the ankles. Now you can see that there when we were in the previous page, we have listened and we have read that about 8 things which we were doing in ablution. We were brushing our teeth, we were also rinsing, we were also washing our nostrils, and we were also wiping our ears, the neck, and but in this question which describes the commanded functions, there are just 4 things. It means if you miss any of these 4 things, your ablution will not be completed. And except these 4, if you miss any of that things, the rinsing or brushing your teeth, your ablution will complete it, but it will be not good. Understand? Understand or not?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the next class, inshallah, we will start our next class with masnoon items of wudu, ablution, and inshallah I will describe you what is masnoon, what is mustahab, and what is farz, obligatory, commanded, non-commanded, and desirable. And I will ask also about what are obligatory in ablution, how many types of uncleanliness are there, and also the 7 prerequisites of salah, of prayers. We should learn all these things which we have done right now in the class. Inshallah, we will start our class with the next person. Okay? We should be prepared for all these things in the next class, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll close our class right now. Ask ourselves to come. Assalamu alaikum.
Like us all.